Hangout is live and on the air, and you are part of it. Tell everybody at home where you're from. Tell them creativity innovation. Yay! All right, this is a live classroom. This is a guest speaker, and this is your leader for adventure for today, which I have to come down here if I go like that. So, how you guys doing today? How you guys doing today? Good. Oh my God, didn't everybody get their Starbucks already? Right, shameless plug, please send gift cards for Starbucks. All right, so today we have all kind of fun going on, as promised. So I'm very excited for today. Are you excited for today?
Very excited.
All right, excellent. So we are streaming live. If anybody doesn't believe me, you can go to YouTube and my channel and you can see us live. And we are recording this, so mind your manners, right? Your parents may see this at some point, although they may be questioning, I pay you to go to this guy's class, right? All right, so today in Creativity and Innovation, we are gonna have a lot of fun. Why are we gonna have fun? Why do we have fun in Creativity and Innovation? Why? We're creatives. That's what creatives do. Sure. And what's the first thing that we do in our class?
Play a game.
Play a game. Right. Well, you may have remembered that I have given great credit to my friend and colleague. Where the hell is the button? Yeah, I'll have to edit that out. There.
Yeah.
Great credit to my friend Akshay, and he is the originator of our game. Here we go. Shameless graphical plug. Of some of our games, and of course I've added more superfluous effects to all of this. So we are combining Play a Game with our guest speaker, Akshay Sateesh. So let me tell you a little bit about Akshay. And I got your like handsome guy picture up here, profile. Yes, you look like you'd be like a soap opera, right? Or like Novatella or something, right? So Akshay is the founder of Zixana Consulting and serves as a faculty trainer with the Center of Creative Leadership in the University of California System on staff education. Currently, Akshay facilitates the Emerging Leader program in Qualcomm. You are so amazing. You really are there, right there. His experience is very interesting. Let me tell you a little bit about him as soon as I can make the damn technology work. For 7 years, Akshay was a business development manager. Now you're on the spot. Business development manager and project leader at an incubator DuPont Biomedical. In 2008, Akshay founded Zixana Consulting, a leadership development firm dedicated to combining experiential learning with the science of play. Akshay also collaborates with schools to develop life skills and character development curriculums, exposing children and teachers to self-awareness, empathy, and leadership. He has also worked with children with autism and Down syndrome by using theater as therapy to aid their abilities to express emotions and thought. A little bit about his quick background. Akshay Sateesh was born in India, raised in Malaysia, now lives in San Diego. Holds a bachelor's and master's of science in bioengineering and from the University of Pennsylvania, my hometown, and is currently a graduate student at the University of San Diego's Leadership Studies program, focusing on organizational development and group dynamics. He has been a professional improvisation actor since 2003, founding member of Philadelphia In Crowd, a short-form improvisation group that performs weekly in Philadelphia and remains a performer locally with the stage Monkeys of San Diego. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, my pal, Akshay Sateesh. Thank you.
You like read the entire bio.
Yeah, right. There you go. The man at the cloud. You don't have to worry about getting up.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm going to be looking like this because that light is going to be making me squint. So,
because he looked like this when I first met him. So let me tell you the quick story of like how Akshay and I met before I get into all that stuff. Right, so Alliance Healthcare Foundation had hired Akshay to facilitate the Innovation in Healthcare Conference, which you can watch in its entirety because we stream that live too. Right, so he and I hadn't met before, and my client says, "Hey, I got this guy who's going to lead our organization, and he's going to play games." I'm like, "Really?" And I said, "Tell me more of this," because I knew healthcare and I knew the people who came. And it wasn't what you call the gaming crowd. I mean, there was nobody that was doing any role playing. There was no wizards. There was no, there's no, just like the two didn't get to mix. So I'm like, well, we're going to stream the event. I let them know we were going to stream it. I want to make sure it was okay. And we're going to do some promos to drive up attendance. So I've got a little clip from Akshay. This is one of the clips. I'm going to play it for you because this is the first thing that I learned about Akshay. Which is gonna be, come on, man, where you at? Go here, go here, here. Do something amusing while I find this.
Amusing.
Yes, no, not
No
you,
pressure.
them, right?
No
So if the
pressure.
camera's on, the little light's on. Keep them going. Make it interesting. Come on, people watching, you're not getting nervous, are you? Are you? Okay, let's see. Screen share, and this thing, and then you go over here, and you click that button, carry the 2. All right.
All this.
All this.
A 30-second clip.
Yeah, right.
On Wednesday, I'll be spending quite some time speaking about how playfulness can be a catalyst for innovation. And that it's about creating a mindset of how we see us coming together to create something new. But most of our time on Wednesday will be spent experiencing and engaging games in which we'll be working together, playing with one another, in connecting and exploring ideas. So come have fun with us, learn a new approach to innovation, and of course, eat free food.
Free food is very important. Yes, free food. People love free food, and that's really why we think people really came, because it says and eat free food. And we had a winky face. Can't forget the winky face, right? Okay, there's a joke. You can't forget the winky face. Oh, I really am a fan of the winky face. But let's get this thing out of here. So, back to the pressure on you guys. Where's my autofocus? There it is. Now, when I got there, I met Akshay, and I got Akshay in front of the stage, and this is what Akshay did. He took 120 some people, and he organized them in some kind of groups that made some sense. And he systematically got these people to do some silly ass stuff. Like what here? What are they doing here? That's right. I told you that's where we learn how to play, not the rock, scissors, paper, but fireworks, tiger, hello, right? And then you got some people to do some other silly stuff amongst some others. Does this look familiar? Yes, because you did this, right? You even got this girl to push on her nose for some reason, right? So these are the types of things that I saw Akshay do with the people that were in the audience, which were a lot of just very typical business people. Now, the market was there because they wanted to learn something. They wanted to learn how to become more innovative. They had an agenda for their organization, and they wanted to get better. They wanted to do something they hadn't done before, right? So that's why Akshay was brought in. And what I saw was mildly brilliant as he took these groups through these different exercises and really used play to get the best out of these people. So that's how I met my friend. That's what I've learned from him. And that's why I've invited him into our class tonight, because I think he's awesome. I think he's fun. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get Akshay Sateesh!
Opening act.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me. What I plan on doing for the next 40 to 50 minutes, or about an hour or so, is exposing you to a few different concepts. One, definitely exposing you to why play. What is play, by the way, because we've all forgotten. And why it's really relevant in this class, but also in the business world. And then we obviously have some dialogue and discussion and questions, et cetera, toward the end of it. So really, to start, just close your laptops. You won't need them for the next hour. Put your phones away. One of the most critical things about play, or being in the state of play, is how presencing it is, and how much in the present it can bring you. And that's really the first most beautiful thing about any state of play that you're in. And we'll talk about different types of play and what you already probably are doing that are playful. So we'll start with something pretty simple. Do you all know your names in this room? Sort of, yes, no, maybe so. You're like, we've never met these people before. It's week 12. So that's fine. Here's what I'm going to make you do. I'm going to make you form 4 groups, and you're going to be standing in small circles facing one another. So just split it up. So circle over there, over here, and over here. So go do that right now, and I'll tell you what game you're going to play at the start and see what happens. Yeah, try to make it even. This group is good. Big enough, man. Now just form another group. You're blocking the middle.
Blocking the camera.
Oh, no. Extreme close up.
Don't let
I know, right? Like straight up.
So, form a little circle over there for me, and then maybe split, even it out. This is too big of a group, so maybe a couple people, you ladies don't mind going there. This is too big. A few gentlemen don't mind going there. Here's what you're gonna do, and these chairs and tables are not my thing, so this is how we're gonna run here. You're gonna face each other, and this game is called Name Drill. Okay, so if you don't know each other's names, you're gonna know them by the end of this game because you have to. Here's how the game is played. The game is simple. You just take your hands and you point to the person in front of you, and you say their first name. That's it. So you probably know one name in your circle. Hopefully you do. Otherwise, shame on you. But you'll know most of the people's names by the end of this. So what you do is you go. What's your name?
Ethan.
Sorry, Ethan. Ethan. So you're Ethan. Then Ethan's gonna go. Akshay. So you're just gonna keep going. And in your circle, you're gonna keep going as fast as you can to the next person. Doesn't matter where you're passing to. Okay? You gotta say the person's first name. Now, if you mess up, meaning I don't know your name, you have to go like this. And run to the other circle and join the next circle. Doesn't matter, just go and run to the other circle. And just stand in there and start playing the game. If you keep going, right? If you keep going, that's okay. The rule is, if you mess up, meaning it's Ben. No, it's not. It's Alyssa. Whatever it is, you're out. But you're not out. You just run into the next circle. Or if you take too long, you have to run into the next circle. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so that's it. That's the game. So go ahead and get started.
Yeah, but
and you'll slow at first. But you gotta get faster and faster and faster. Go ahead and start the game. Name drill.
No, it's got Aladdin.
What's going on? Let's go.
We do a round.
Doesn't matter how you do it. You're just gonna go fast.
We have to yell.
Scream louder!
Loud, not loud. Keep going. I don't see anybody playing.
Aladdin.
Ivan.
Alex.
Excellent. Keep going.
Yeah, man.
It's not my name.
Ivan. Yeah. All right, whatever. Because like I said, the I differently.
No, it's ready. If you get it wrong, you're out. You get it wrong, you're out. Let's go.
Can you repeat the name? Go back to the person that
Doesn't
called
matter. You do whatever you
Go
want.
Ivan.
Come on, man. Go to new people.
Aladdin.
Faster, louder!
We don't know your fucking name.
Oh, we're all good.
Good, stop where you are. Stay where you are. Give yourself a little mini round of applause. So really quick question. How'd that go? What is the most critical thing that was missing in this game for you?
Introductions.
Introductions. What do you mean by that?
I didn't know anybody's name.
You didn't know anybody's name. Wow. What does that tell you about your group or the people here? How about yourself? You don't care. You don't care, perhaps? What else? You coming? We're not paying attention. We're sticking in the same groups. We keep in circles, perhaps. We sit next to the same people. Who here walked in and sat in basically the same spot that they've sat in every single class? Yeah. And who here came in here and sat next to the people that they kind of know? Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. Most of us, right? And so therein lies the rub. If you're in a creativity and innovation class, the number one thing you should be doing is changing your patterns and breaking them. If you're not doing it in this class, there's no way in hell you're going to be doing it anywhere else, especially if you're going to start a business, be a designer, be in the arts, work in social sciences, whatever you want to do. And so this is a pattern game that makes me realize we need to break patterns real fast, okay? So stay in these circles real quick, and we'll do a really quick version of ultimate rock, paper, scissors. You know how to play rock, paper, scissors, right? We're going to play the ultimate version, which is my favorite game ever, and then we'll talk about what's going on. The ultimate version is this. It's not rock, paper, scissors, shoot, and then it's best of 5 or best of 3 or whatever. That's not it. It is turn to a partner, and the first person who wins, the first one, they're the winner. What's your name? Anthony, come over here, we'll demonstrate. So, for example, Anthony and I are gonna go 1, 2, shoot. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, shoot. Okay, so scissors beats paper, right? So he lost one time and done. Okay, so now Anthony is gonna start cheering my name. And he's gonna go, Akshay. Okay, and then I'm gonna go find another winner somewhere in this room, right? There's gonna be lots of them. And I'm gonna go, right? And in the meantime, he's, Akshay. And the other person's going, Andrew, right? And I go, face off. Whoever wins that one is the winner. Their posse comes over to mine, I'm the winner, and starts cheering my name. Akshay, Akshay. And so you get it, you go find winners. One time wins, and what we're gonna end up with is everybody knowing one person's name at the end of it. So here's what's gonna happen. At the very end, we're gonna have 2 people, that's it, right? And we're gonna have 2 camps, woo, screaming their name. Everybody understand the game? Yes. Got it? Now when we get to 2 people, want to bring them up to the front and do a face-off there. Okay? So, very simple. Ultimate rock, paper, scissors. Turn to your neighbor. One time wins. Then start cheering their name. What's her name? Oh, yeah, you know her name. What's his name? We know 2 names now. Okay, so we're going to do a best of 5. Okay, so the first person to 3 wins, and then we'll all know one person's name. Does that make sense? So go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, hey, yeah. Oh, hey, yeah. Andrew, Andrew,
Take a seat, but this time don't sit in your normal spot. Stand up, take your stuff, and move 3 seats over in a direction. Sit next to somebody you don't know. Okay. Doesn't matter where you sit, just grab a new seat. You'll always find somebody new that can sit there. So we're going to do one more quickie, and that is what you're going to do is you're going to find somebody that you don't really know, okay, and you're just going to turn to them. And so find a pair. You're going to turn to them. Here's what you're going to do. It's very simple. I'll demonstrate it for you. Each person is going to have 60 seconds. And in those 60 seconds, all you're going to do is tell the story of your name. Okay? And so it's quite simple. Now, there are a couple of rules to this game, and that is don't lie. Okay? Just tell the truth. And so I'll give you the story of my name in like a 20-second version. Akshay Sateesh. Actually, Akshay Sateesh is 2 first names from India, which is a really strange thing. My mom, I believe, said, we don't want my father's last name, which is actually in the front of his name. And so she said, we don't want that in our family. So we're just going to take your first name and stick it on the end of our name. And so that's where we got Akshay Sateesh. And a lot of people confuse me for, oh, so you're Satish. I'm like, no, I'm Akshay. Oh, so where does Satish? So it's 2 first names, which is strange. I could go on and tell you the meaning of my name, Akshay. I could go on and tell you perhaps some nicknames that I had growing up, things like that. Okay, and that's all. You just fill the 60 seconds with something about yourself, and more specifically, just about your name. So it's the story of your name. And so turn to that neighbor right now. Your 60 seconds starts when you figure out who goes first. Turn to your neighbor, figure out who goes first. And 60 seconds starts now. That's 60 seconds. Hey, sometimes it goes fast. Some people, oh my God, they're still going. Switch. Your 60 seconds starts now. So, a couple of quick questions for you. Raise your hand if you learned something new about somebody else. Raise your hand if you couldn't fill the 60 seconds by talking about your name. A few people. Raise your hand you couldn't stop talking about your name or yourself. You could have gone on for another minute. Anybody could have gone on for another minute? I certainly am in that camp. Okay, so some of us. So what is it about that game? What was interesting or different about that game? Where did you find yourself? What was the conversation about?
Sometimes you run out of explanations of why you have that name and just start talking to other people, getting to know them, where they're from or where they're going here.
Sure. So sometimes if this topic runs out or runs its course, it connects to something else that's related perhaps, and you can just continue down that path. Great. What else? Don't have 2 minutes conversation. What are you talking about? Yeah.
You found out we were from the same town and he actually knows my sister.
Look at that. You're from the same town and you know his sister. Wow. That's pretty remarkable. What else? What else you discovered? What else you learned? Yeah.
I learned how Korean symbols work.
You learned how Korean symbols work, yes. Excellent. Wonderful. Great. What else? Yeah.
We learned something personal about the person, mostly about their family or like how they chose specifically that name.
Sure. Great. So if you spoke about the name more in detail, you learned about the family, something a little bit more behind the person, right? Great. Awesome. Anybody else? One last person.
If
Yeah.
their mom or dad, which one has stronger opinion on making
Decisions. Okay, so somebody had a stronger decision about, we're going to name this person this. Sure, yeah, you learned that. Great. What you just did was, it sounded like you just had a conversation, right? But really, what you're doing is, you're actually engaging in a very, very actually primal way, which is just looking into each other's eyes. If you did that, you probably did a little more than that than you usually do in this class, and just listening. I know it was hard to listen because there was a lot of volume going on, but you probably still were able to listen. And play, in a way, gets us focused to listening. And the reason why I wrote this up here is because what you're talking about here with regards to, I learned about your family. I learned that I was connected to this person from my neighborhood that I didn't even realize, right? I learned that there's something interesting about Korean symbols, something about someone's culture. And it took 60 seconds. Okay, it took 120 seconds to get connected. Just ever so slightly. And that's actually what play does. Play connects people. Doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter what age you are, doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter what language you speak. Play is universal, and it universally connects us in these very small ways. That's the first thing that play does. And so hopefully you feel a little more connected to one person, if not the group in this room, and we'll explore that a little bit longer. Any thoughts on what I just said? Thoughts, questions, concerns? No, you're like, no, I'm drinking it. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I got it. Awesome. So really, that's the first thing I wanted to say. The other things are about how play can actually, when we're engaging in play, I've already seen this today in the last 20 minutes, and that is, it gives people courage. What that means is it actually allows people to say or share or be heard in a way that they haven't before. So the name drill, people were probably a little bit shy, full of fear. I don't really know what this game is. We don't really know each other's names. How are we going to play? Those are all things of fear, because really, if you didn't know how to play the game, you should be screaming and going into the other circle all day long. That's how the game is played. But what we're filled with is the opposite of this is fear. And so what play can do for people is to give you courage and to encourage other people, because one person, who was it? I found somebody who was actually playing the game pretty well. Maybe it was you, where you went into like 3 different circles. Am I correct? 4 different circles. So you can spot the people who are ready to sort of just jump up and do things. And it doesn't mean all of you have to. It just means that you want to recognize where you are. Do you have courage, or can you encourage other people to show up in the way that they want to? The other piece is, at the end of the day, play lets us explore new ways of thinking, feeling, and being. And you just did it with the story of your name. Literally, just exploring my neighbor, exploring who they are. And so what does that have to do with creativity and innovation? What does this have to do anything with creativity and innovation? That's the name of this class, right? Yes.
Come on now, help them out.
You make the link. I won't. What's the link? Yeah.
You have to like explore what's creative and innovative in your team.
Okay,
So
tell me more.
It kind of takes courage to take time to explore and not feel down by anybody's opinion.
Great. So sometimes when you're being creative, it's sort of it makes you stand out. You have a unique idea where it goes against the grain of society or the group, and that takes courage, right? To be able to have that and also share that. Somebody else can do what's up. Yeah.
So you have to think of novel ways to connect with them and how to explore who they are.
Got it. Why? Why do you have to do that?
Because sometimes to keep the conversation going, you kind of have to connect how you connect with that person. So, it's not just like a plain conversation.
Sure. Okay. So why do we care? Why do we care about connecting with people? Why should we care? You don't have to. Yeah.
It gives us insight to who they are and how, if we want to even be their friends.
Sure. And this is about people, but the key word that you just said is something called insights. Insights just means that you're learning something new, and it gives you another way to connect pieces that you've never connected before. That's an insight. An insight is, I put this piece together and this piece together, and I got this. We don't know what it is, or what it looks like, or how it shows up in a product or a service, if we're talking about that. But I just made that insight is, that's interesting.
And that's what we call, we've learned as making new connections, because we're taught to make connections with things, to make some sense of things.
Great.
But then we have to break the connections that we know, pull from things that we've learned, and make new connections out of these sometimes very different things.
Absolutely. So disparate concepts, break patterns to be able to put new ones together. A couple other hands are up, and then we'll move on. Yeah.
Also from the book, I connected like exploring to deal with like after like exploring about her, I was actually curious and asked her more questions about herself, and then the courage like playing the game. Like at first you would be afraid, and then after a few you kind of got courage, and then I actually encouraged more people, and yeah, it was completely related to the book of like 4 steps of creativity.
Great, awesome. So again, the explorer, you start to become curious, and that is the ultimate mindset that a creative or innovative person must have, the curiosity. If you're not curious, you're not going to learn, you're not going to ask questions, you're not going to go against what big data may say, et cetera, to create something new. You're just going to do the same, right? If we're not curious about how it feels to sit in the other side of the room, you're not going to change that behavior. It's that simple. Every time we walk into a room, we have a pattern. Start noticing those patterns and see if you're comfortable breaking them, to see what can happen when you force patterns to be broken, right? You've spoken about that. One other hand was up. Yeah, Go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like if you're gonna bring creativity within a group of people, if we don't even know each other's names, there's no way you can know about their different skills and different backgrounds. And so if you have a group like that, then you're not using the full potential of everybody. And if you know about them, if you know what skills they are, you're more likely to be creative.
Absolutely. Perfect. Absolutely. If you don't know somebody, because who here thinks they'll be able to do something on their own for the rest of their life? By themselves. No hands went up, that's good. You always, no matter how much of a hermit you want to be, who thinks of themselves as an introvert in this room? There has to be some. Even introverts have to figure out ways to work with other people. Okay? The difference between extroverts and introverts is very simple. Extroverts, like myself, like to process, like to act first, then reflect, and then act again. Introverts like to reflect first, then act, and reflect again. That's simple, but you need to know that about somebody because that's what their comfort level is. That's their preference in how they interact with other people and the world around them. If you don't know that about people, then you hire people like me to come into your organization and try to help you realize that, because therein lies conflict. Therein lies we're not communicating right. We're trying to be innovative, but we can't do it. Why? Well, we don't even know each other's names. We don't even know how people show up in a room. So start to notice that, because that is the beginning of how you're going to create a sense of a group coming together to be creative and do something new. Okay. Well, enough talking. Let's play again. Here's what we're going to do. Does anybody have a piece of paper? Anybody have a piece of paper? Everybody have a piece of paper? Yeah. No? Yes? We're going to beg, borrow, and steal in this case. So everybody should have one piece of paper. Actually, it's one piece of paper per pair. So just one piece of paper for two people.
David Tree.
Find your pair. Find your pair, but find that piece of paper. And one pen. You just need one pen. Here's what the game is called. So, while you're getting situated with your paper and pen, I'll tell you right now, there are a couple of things, and this is sort of the last soliloquy about play, and then we'll relate it to why organizations, why companies are interested in this, more than before, much more than before. And that is, there are different types of play, okay, and I'll just list a few of them for you. One is social play. And social play, at the essence, is what you just did in the beginning of this class, is socially people coming together to interact with each other. That's it, in a playful way. Okay, so you probably already do this. You probably go hang out with your friends in your dorms or wherever you're staying. You're like shooting the breeze, you have a drink, whatever you do, you cook a meal together. Those are social play activities, okay? You're just socially coming together. That's it. The goal of that is to connect with people. You just like hanging out with people. That's what that is. That's social play, okay? Creative play is another one. Creative play is an expression of the here and now. So for example, who here draws or doodles? Or even paints or any sort of expression of art? Who here plays a musical instrument? Anybody? Yeah, so all of those are creative expressions of the here and now. And that is creative play. So you actually are playing creatively. Okay. Then there's, my brain is on, here we go, imaginative play. I'm spelling it wrong.
Starts with an I.
Thanks. Not E.
I'm a helper.
Yeah. Imaginative play. Imaginative play is the disparate connections that are going on in your brain when you're thinking about not something in the present. It's in the future or in the past. And you're imagining what if I stare at these clouds and they start to shake, they look like a pig flying. Huh, that's cool. It's not real. It's fantasy. It's pretend. So who here when they were young pretended like they were, a fire person putting out a fire once before, right? Who here pretended like they were a princess? Or cooking in a on their little like diner or whatever it is. We all did it. It's especially when we were children. We did pretend play a lot, and children need that. Children go through all these stages of play, actually. That's what imaginative play is, closest to pretend play. We'll just talk about one more. There's actually a few more that we won't talk about. The next one is called object play. And object play is really simple. You just take any object. Right? Who here does this thing with I can't even do it. Like they turn their pens all day long. They're sitting around. Can we do that? Yeah, you're playing with that object. And actually, it's making your neurons fire in different ways than before. It helps you think. I was on a client call yesterday, and I just, for some reason, it was like really boring. And I grabbed a squishy ball in my office and started throwing it against the wall because that helped me listen. And he called me out on it. He was like, "Are you throwing the ball against the wall?" And I was like, oops. Yes, I am. It's helping me listen. And he said, "That's funny. I'm doodling on my piece of paper right now." We all do it. We just don't admit it. And actually it helps us. And so that's what I want you to start paying attention to. All the different types of things that you do, that you play with concepts, and it helps you. So this is an expression of creative play, this next game, and it's called Monster. Monster, but Monster. And so here's what you're going to do. You're going to turn to your neighbor. I'm going to borrow this real quick. You have a piece of paper like this, right? First thing you're going to do is fold it in half. Okay? Fold it in half, and the first person is going to go first and just take one half of it. And what you're going to do is the first person is going to draw their personal monster. Okay, now, you're only going to do the top half of your monster. Okay, so you're going to do the top half of your monster. Okay, and I'll give you about 30 seconds to do it. And then that other person that's not drawing, don't look. And then after 30 seconds, you're going to turn it to the blank side, hand it to the other person. 30 seconds starts again, and that person is going to draw the bottom half of their monster. Okay, does that make sense? And that's it. So it's a 1-minute game, but it takes a little bit of cooking. So here we go. Fold your piece of paper. Doesn't matter what it is. Your 30 seconds. The first person starts now. The other person, don't look. Don't look. Don't look at that drawing. 30 seconds already started. Okay, that's it. That's your 30 seconds. So whatever it is you have is great. Doesn't matter. Turn it. Don't show them that. They should just see the blind side. Okay, give it to the other person. Ready? Don't show them. Don't show them. Okay, your 30 seconds starts now. Don't forget, this is the bottom half. This time it's the bottom half of your monster. Bottom half of your monster. Hips up, shoulders down. Doesn't matter. 15 seconds left.
The pressure. The pressure.
5 seconds. Doesn't matter what it is. Okay, that's it. Stop right there. Now, your next task is now to turn to that person and together as a pair, you're going to name the monster. You're going to name the monster together. So go ahead, name that monster. 1 minute. Yeah, look Okay, make sure you name your monster. I don't want to hear the name, so come up with a name. You have 30 more seconds. Make sure you have a name. Okay. Okay, here we go. So, of you to share your monster. 2 things. What you're gonna do is you're just gonna
Listen
stay
up.
where you are. You can stay where you are, but I would ask you when you share your monster, just stand up together as a pair and just share the name of your monster first, and then write your name with that. Okay, that's it. Who wants to go first? Yeah, awesome. Stand up for me with your pair. Awesome. What are both of your names?
My name is Josh.
Josh and
Kyle.
Kyle. Awesome. Thanks.
This hard landscape. I thought it had to be small so I could understand.
You're real small.
Big old legs and tail. So since the bottom looks like kind of like a, what's his name? Godzilla. And mine looks like a cat. We just named him Catzilla.
Catzilla! Awesome. Excellent. Excellent. Give him a round of applause. That's right there. Awesome. That's it. Yeah. Come on. Stand up. Make sure everybody knows your name.
I'm Alex, and this is Melissa.
Awesome.
We named our Spike Lee. She thought of Spike, and I thought it was too boring, so I just added Lee.
Got it. Tell us more about what we're seeing there. Some people can't see that.
It kind of, it's just like the upper half has some thorns, and then the bottom half has like snake tail with spikes on it with hands.
Cool. Whose was the bottom? Who's the top?
I was the top.
Top. Bottom. Okay, great. Thanks. Give me a round of applause. Thank you. The reason I'm asking who's the top and who's the bottom is because the next thing I want you to think about for yourself is how is this half of the monster a representation of who you are right now and what's going on? What's going on for you, right? So we'll just share a couple more and just start thinking that way. Go ahead. Come on, stand up. Make sure you tell us your names.
Hi, she's Skylar.
Yep, that's Clark.
Yeah, this is our monster.
Awesome.
We just named him Cyclops because I drew the top and I drew one eye.
Awesome.
And I did the bottom.
He doesn't really have a body, he just has a head and legs.
He just has 10 legs. Yeah. Just a big head with no legs.
Yeah.
Excellent. Cyclops. Thank you. Very Cyclops. Give a round of applause. One last one. Go ahead. Tell us your name.
All right, my name is Aladdin, and his name is Isa.
Awesome.
So I made this part, the upper part, and it looks like a breed like from a dino.
Well, we named it Dino Knight.
Dino Knight.
Yes.
Excellent.
The top looks like a dinosaur.
Okay.
And the bottom looks like a person with a sword.
Like a knight.
Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
Got it.
It looks half like a bird and half like a dinosaur.
Got it. Excellent. Wonderful. Give a round of applause. Great. So what was this? What does this have? What does this game have to do with anything?
Be creative.
Being creative. What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
In this case, being creative with your drawing.
Okay. Yeah, perhaps. Who thinks that they're terrible drawings?
This is management program, not art.
Yeah, no, doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. Okay, doesn't matter, but it's still an activity of creativity in a way, expression of creative play. Yeah.
You can see how other people complement your creativity. Your drawing.
Got it. Right. So the reason I split you up into 2 is because really your drawing is just yourself. But when you put it together with other people, it becomes more interesting. It becomes something that you never would have created by yourself, ever, right? And so the more you can do that, the more interesting something and more unique something can be. Okay. Now there's a limit to that because who's heard of the phrase, there are too many chefs in the kitchen, or too many people in this decision-making process. There are too many voices. And sometimes that can occur. Okay, but it depends on what your goal is. In this case, your goal is just to draw your personal monster. And what it is an insight into somebody's creative expression right now. And that's all it is. And they may be a terrible drawer, it doesn't matter. But there's meaning behind the spikes that are coming out of the head. There's meaning behind the sword that is in your hand, right? You can actually tell a bigger story than what there is on face value. And telling those stories are going to help people create insights. I'll tell you one quick story as an example. One of the most amazing innovations that I've ever seen was not the iPhone, was not video camera live streaming. That's what's happening now. None of that. I was in Stockholm and I was with my wife and we were getting baggage claim off the airport. Baggage was coming out. And what I noticed was there was a yellow line about 2 feet from the belt that goes around with the baggage coming out. There was a yellow line that was painted all around the baggage claim area. And what's interesting is there were no signs whatsoever. Nobody crossed the yellow line until their baggage came. Who here has been in a baggage claim area where it's like super crowded and people are like, I can't see my bag. Why are you standing right there, right? And then you're like, get out of my way, and you pull it and you kind of hit somebody along the way. Right? People have experienced that before. But what a simple concept. Just paint a yellow line and people will think they have to stand behind it, right? And what that took was an insight. It didn't take months and years of innovating in a room and coming up with ideas on a wall. It took an insight, an ability to notice something that's going on in somebody's world and come up with something interesting to test. So design thinking and some of the thinking that you're talking about here is about you have to listen first. You have to collect information first, a lot of information about people, about behaviors, about patterns, so that you can offer something creative and innovative to help them do something different. That's just such an elegant story of that, because we all think about iPhones and all these cool gadgets as being innovative. Just paint a yellow line. That's innovative. Change people's behaviors. That's powerful. So think about that for yourself. What are you trying to really achieve in this class, and how are you going to do that? I'll share with you 3 things, and then we'll play one more time. And that is, I'll just run this out. Everybody have this?
Oh, sure. There you go.
Oh, look at that. I can just erase by moving. There's 3 things. Daniel Pink has a book called Drive. Anybody heard of that? Well, you heard of it now. And so there's 3 concepts here that are really interesting. He talks about how the ultimate motivation of people in organizations is very simple. Boils it down to 3 things. Has nothing to do with money. Has to do with 1, purpose. What people want is some level of, why am I doing this? What is the ultimate goal in mind here? And what are we trying to achieve as a group? If you don't have that, if you don't have a purpose, what you end up having is, some people think their purpose is, we need to make money every quarter so our shareholders are doing great. That lasts only so long. Most of my work with organizations is now, how do we define your purpose? You already are at 500 people or 2,000 people, and nobody knows how to say what they're doing. Purpose. People need an ultimate purpose for why they're doing something. Otherwise, they won't do it for very long. They'll get bored, and they'll say, I'm sick of it. That's 1. 2, autonomy. What does that mean? Fancy word for self-sufficient. Self-sufficient, self-starting. Actually, more like control. I want to have control over my time and how I'm going to spend it and what I'm going to work on. Anybody want that in this room, in their lives one day? I want to have control over my time, how I'm going to spend my time, and what I'm going to do. It's the ultimate definition of freedom, if you think about it. Okay, next, last thing. Mastery. Mastery is about skills. We actually all want to learn something. We all want to get better at something. So raise your hand again if you do something outside of school that you just do because you love. Raise your hand. Okay, now one of you tell me, what is that thing? How about you? Is that okay? What do you do outside of school?
Teach kids how to swim.
Teach kids how to swim. How much time have you dedicated to that activity in your life?
Well, it's part of my job, so at least just teaching 15 hours a week.
15 hours a week. 15 hours a week. Got it. For multiple years probably now. At least 3. Got it. What do you love about it?
Just it's a new, well, it helps me, one, not to be an adult, but to kind of learn how to teach kids in a fun way.
Got it. So teaching kids in a fun way. You get about safety. Got it. So that interests you. Okay, you're probably mastering, by the way, some skill along the way, right? Just how do you teach kids how to swim? It's a skill-based thing. So there are other people raising hand. What else do people say? What are people doing outside of? Raise your hand again. Yes. What do you do outside of?
I do stand-up comedy.
Stand-up comedy. How long have you been doing that?
Like 4 or 5 months now.
Okay. And do you think that you're getting better because you've been doing it for 4 months as opposed to 2?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Why do you like it?
I kind of grew up watching it
Okay.
randomly, and then eventually I had the idea of doing it. I'm not really quite sure why. Is that okay?
Absolutely. You may not always have a purpose for something, but you can weigh it in saying, you know what, I'm just going to learn this for now and see where it takes me. So what I'm just trying to allude to is that these are the ultimate motivating factors for people to be in an organization, in a club, whatever groups you're in. That's what they care about. And that's what you care about. Because if you don't have those 3 things or a sense of that, you probably won't do it anymore. And the difference with us, with our organization, is we just make it fun. If fun is not in here, then this stuff will never, ever get done. So, questions, thoughts? Yes?
Was that Daniel Pink, is that a book, or is that just?
Yeah, this is a book. Yeah, Drive is the book. Daniel Pink is the author. Yeah. You can get a really good summary of this on YouTube. There's an RSA Animate, it's like a graphical representation of purpose, autonomy, and mastery. It's like 15 minutes. You can get a 5-minute version. That's a really good summary of that. Yes.
I have a fun story relating to your airport story. It was I read about the military in Iraq, and they were riots all the time, many times per week. They've tried everything to stop the riots. And one guy, he started to look at the behavior of people, and he realized that if the people actually came not for the riots but for the food that was there, because as soon as the riot started, many people would gather at the same place, and independent food sellers would come and sell whatever they had. And so the military just blocked people from selling anything during these riots. And just after 20 minutes, when people realized that there was no food, the riots completely stopped.
Got it.
So it was interesting.
It's interesting. How does that connect to what we're talking about in this class?
Well, I mean, maybe thinking differently, because sometimes we're like, maybe the military, I guess, they have like, they usually do the same things over and over again, and they don't think about how they could do it another way. And analyzing the behavior of people, I think, is a very creative way to solve the issue.
Absolutely. Great. In IDEO Labs is a company up in the Bay Area, and they came up with sort of the design thinking process, and one of the first things they identified, some people are better at certain things than others. Right? You all did a creativity profile of yourself, some sort of like I'm kind of good at this, not good at that, right? That's true. Some people are better at asking questions. Some people are better at listening. And some people are better at getting stuff done. Some people are just better at, give me the idea and I'm going to go like sell it, or I'm going to go run with it, or I'm going to influence people to do something about it. And that's true. There are many different versions of that, different styles that people show up as. So you really want to leverage a group's ability to say, am I tapping into your strength or your preference for how you are being creative and innovative? And some people, the first thing that they talk about in IDEO Labs is they've identified 10 different, I feel like it's too many, but 10 different archetypes of innovators. The first one they talk about is the anthropologist. And the anthropologist is a person that just listens to and pays attention to human behavior. And what they do is they go sit and they watch people behave and they take notes. And literally, just like in Stockholm or what you're talking about, is notice what is happening in your world. And then you can come up with something that's interesting and unique, if that's your goal. So thanks for sharing that story. Any questions or thoughts or concerns? Any questions about my work or what I do, and or how it comes together in organizations, etc.? Yeah.
So in an organization, if you have like multiple different types of people, say one person's, like you said, better at getting stuff done, do you put them at a task-oriented like job? If you're doing an evaluation of organization, like how do you allocate certain types of people?
Great question, and that's the ultimate wrestling match that you have that we do most of our work with. If we kind of oversimplify for a second, just for the sake of this conversation, there are things that companies, let's just pretend we're in corporate America, because that's my most familiar realm, there are lots of tasks that people have to get done, right? Lots of things we need to execute on and projects, et cetera, et cetera. The other side, and it's not the other side, it's just the other thing to think about, is relationships. And so what happens is, in a very simplistic way, some people in some industries especially really focus here. And the question you always want to ask is, why is that? Maybe because they have shareholders and Wall Street's telling them you gotta outperform yourself every single time, so you should be doing it measured by this. Oh, okay, well then, where does this have any place in it? Well, in fact, it does, because if you're not tapping into people's strengths and you're just pushing them into, you got to do it, and I don't care what you think and how you think about it, I'm not listening to you, just get it done, we don't have time. Then you'll force them out of having their purpose, their autonomy, and having a feeling like they have control over it. Because what they're good at, potentially, is bringing other people along. And an innovation in that field specifically, or if people want to innovate in an organization, you need to have people to buy into that idea. You can't just be like, mine's a great idea, because the guy next to you, or the woman next to you says, mine's a better idea. Well, then which one's going to get the money or the resources of the support? That's when you have to start getting people aligned with their strengths, what they're good at, what their preferences are, to be able to bubble up that tipping point, or the way to move something forward. Not good enough to just have a good idea. Does that help? Did that answer your question?
Semi.
A little bit?
Yeah.
The fact that you asking that question is what people don't end up doing. What are you good at? Tell me more about what you're interested in doing. How do you want to spend your time? What do you want to get better at? And what motivates you? You ask that question, and then you'll know what position or role that person plays in your team or organization. Okay. Does that help a little?
Yeah, that helps a little bit.
Other questions, thoughts? Yes, sir.
So the place I work back home, the culture of the place is that a lot of people like hold pranks on each other. They're all kind of like, they know each other well enough where everyone kind of has like these inside jokes. Yeah. And it's like very sarcastic. Like everyone's kind of dumping on another person just for the fun of it, and everyone's like in on it. Yeah. But it's like the complete reverse of being, like, I guess, happy and social. Like that's how they do it. Is kind of almost like this joking negative sense to it. So have you ever experienced that?
Yeah.
Like a reversal of
absolutely
people interact?
There's a light and dark side to everything. So if you do something, if you're playful, what seems to be playful, hey, let's have fun, let's laugh, and I'll tell you a quick story about Trader Joe's in a second. But you laugh and you're having fun, that may look like you're having fun, but sometimes to some people, what looks like a social play kind of looks like you're putting me down. It kind of feels like that's not really how I play. And so actually there are preferences of how people interact with one another and how people play with one another. And that's what we're not paying attention to in that situation, is that we assume that the way that we play to connect with people or to have fun or joke is the way that other people want to be played with. That's how they receive information. And so even with play, there's a dynamic of play. It's a give and take. It's a pay attention to what does somebody like? What does somebody respond to? Does that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah.
It can very easily, any one of these situations can turn into a dark side, the evil side of it. Because if you're trying to force people to play, by the way, purposeful play versus unpurposeful play, there's two different camps there. If you're trying to get people to, if you're trying to encourage them, you may be a positive intent, but it's received by, you're just kind of scaring me, you're just forcing me to do it. So now it's turned into fear. That's the opposite of what you wanted. So there's a delicate balance. Does that help? Yeah. Question?
Yes, I'm guessing there is a limit to what you can do with that, because in a very huge corporation, for example, there is no way you can know everybody's name. You can't know what their skills are. do you think there's a way to implement, we talked about purpose, autonomy, and mastery, like in a huge corporation, like can they have like a database to know everybody's skills, to know everybody's purpose and the way they like to work? And
absolutely. So people are starting to do that now. People are starting to collect data on my preference and then putting it in a master database where everybody can look into it.
Don't we call that HR?
We call it, perhaps, although what people are also doing, there's an app called good.co. Take a look at it. It basically asks you like 5 questions and tries to figure out like your type. You know, there's a lot of that around. We just have to use it. And so utilizing it properly in different situations is the hard part. Collecting data on somebody and their preferences, behavior is easy. Okay, so it is true. The other thing I'll say is that it depends on an organization. If they're not rewarding this, you know how people have performance reviews and stuff like that? Like, hey, how did you doing this year, right? You're gonna give a performance review to our fellow, our professor here at the end of the year, right? Performance review. If you're not measuring this or asking this question, right, then you're not gonna do what you're saying. Most people's performance reviews are not even about this. It's about, did you get your stuff done, right? So there are many more answers to that question. Thoughts, questions, concerns? Okay, turn to your neighbor, and you're gonna just share one thing that is loud and clear from the last hour that we've spent with each other. Loud and clear. Something new that you were like, oh my God, that's kind of interesting or pretty cool. Share that insight with that person right now. So turn to your neighbor. You can have about 1 or 2 minutes. Share and explain yourself.
I would
Okay, that's it. It was really quick. So, who wants to share something that they learned? Yeah.
Just thinking outside the box, change it up. Sometimes you're stuck in these perspectives that at the end of the day, there's actually a grass could be greener on a different side, not on the other side, but on a different side of your life.
Absolutely, great. So different perspectives can be really useful and interesting. Great, thanks, yes.
Just relating to your yellow line idea, like there's creativity and innovation within a lot of parts of life, and I feel like for our mini teachers, everybody went wild, you know, and trying to do like, oh, I'm gonna be the next like great athlete or whatever. When in reality, you know, that might not be your passion.
Absolutely, yeah, great. There's actually, like you said, there's creativity and innovation is a humorous. It's like actually in our essence of human beings. And it can be in every single thing that we do. Really simple things. So thanks for sharing that. Others? Yeah.
Well, we usually learn in here to like make and break connections.
Yeah.
Which like in theory is great, but then we come in here and as you pointed out, we sit in the same seats, don't know anyone's name. Yeah. So it's like just interesting that you can pinpoint that right when you walk in a room.
Yeah, you can. You actually can do that all day long for yourself. Now, there's a little bit of a fight or flight syndrome here, which is that as human beings, we need structure and predictability to feel safe. And so that goes back to the Neanderthal days of feeling safe, where we know that the lion is on that side and the the river or the ravine is there, so we know that we shouldn't be walking over there. And that's what it is. It's us just behaving to keep our boundaries secure. But in creativity and innovation, we want to know what those boundaries are first. You don't have to always break them, but know what they are. And that in itself is a first step. Thanks for sharing that. Others? Other thoughts? Yes?
In reference to your autonomy and mastery, I actually was just offered a position and I declined it because of those things.
Because it didn't have those?
Didn't have those for me.
Got it.
So that kind of, I can relate to that.
Good, so hopefully you can name it now.
Yeah.
Right, and just start talking about it in that way. There are lots of companies, not lots, I'll reframe. There are a few companies that do a 20% of your time in the organization, you get to do whatever the hell you want. That's autonomy. And what's amazing is, and actually there's a company in Australia that ended up doing this, it said once a quarter, which doesn't seem like much, once every 3 months, we're gonna all get together and we're gonna spend 24 hours working on whatever you wanna work on. The only commitment you have to the 24 hours is by the end of it, you have to tell us what your idea is. That's it. That has led to 30 or 40% of their new ideas that they've launched. That one day every 3 months, that where people felt autonomous and felt control over what they wanted to do. So thanks for sharing that. And probably a great decision that you declined.
I feel good about it.
Good.
And now you have new terminology. So, well, listen, how much, so let's talk about our purpose here. What time will I be given for my mastery, right? They'd be like, oh, we really do want to.
Who is this person? Have you read Daniel Pink? Yeah, you'll be ahead of that. Any last questions or thoughts before we play a final game? Well, we're going to play one final game, and it's going to be pretty crazy active. So you're going to have to pay attention really well. I'm going to have to stand on a chair for it.
He loves those chairs.
These chairs, as long as I don't break anything.
Yeah, kind of don't do that.
Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to leave everything down, and you're going to stand up. And here's what's going to happen. It's going to be kind of chaotic, but you really will do great. So
what could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? Okay, so everybody stand up for me. Here's what you're going to do. And I'm going to be shouting out loud some of these instructions, okay? So I'll give you the first instruction, and then I'm going to give you 5 seconds to find someone else to do something else with, okay? And that's how it's going to go. It's going to go really fast. Now, keep in mind, there are chairs and stuff in between. You need to at least be having access to quite a few people. So you can't just be like, oh, there's one person behind me, one person in front of me. You need to kind of have access to more than that, okay? So we'll just go and see what happens. So here's the first thing you have to do. Find somebody, and you're going to create a secret handshake with them. You have 20 seconds. Go, 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 go. Create a secret handshake with them. Go, go, go. Secret handshake wherever is right. Now, go find somebody else. Go find somebody else. Right now, you're going to have create a new dance move with them. A new dance move. Go, go, go. You have 10 Go find somebody else. Stand back to back with this next new person. You're gonna both shout out a number between 1 and 5. Okay? And then you're going to add that number to each other, and that's how many jumps you're going to do standing back to back with your arms linked. Go, go, go. Think of a number we want to 5. Shout it Okay, go find another new person, and you're going to sing a line from a female singer. Sing a line from a female singer. Go find that person and sing that line. Go ahead, go, go, go. Since you can go. one. This is your last one. You're gonna go find one person, another new person. You're gonna find a new person. And this time you're gonna come up with a 2-line poem. One person goes first, the other person has to rhyme that poem. Go find that new person's 2-line poem. Go, go, Up here. Here we go. This is it. This is where it gets chaotic. You're going to go back to the first person. And this time what's going to happen is every time I go like this, I'm going to switch you to the next person. And all it is, the first person's going to be your secret handshake. Next person's your dance move. Next person's your 1 to 5. Next person's your single line. And the final one is back to the 2-line poem. So here we go. Go find that first person. Secret handshake. Go, go, go. New dance move. New dance move. New dance move.
Yeah.
Jump. Jump.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
That is it. If you take away anything from today, what I encourage you to do more of going forward in this class and beyond is to connect with people through playful means. Because number one, it's just more fun to do it that way. And two, get to know people better. Get to know them beyond what their name is, beyond who they are, and start to pay attention to that more. That's all you need to do. If you start with that, you'll be better than most of the people I train in large organizations. So get started now and be playful. So thank you for having me. Thank you.
Round of applause for Akshay Sateesh. And that concludes today's lesson. All right, get back in your seats. Let's shut down tech and get back to work.